If you're ready to harness the power of your communications data, blast off with Nylas today.
Well, it's almost October, and I think we know what that means, but without stealing your thunder, Ram, tell us what it means.
Well, it's Hactoberfest, so happy Hacktober, everyone.
Happy Hacktober.
And we're going to talk about what's going on with Hacktoberfest, what Hacktoberfest is, and as well, Nylas is excited to be participating in Hacktoberfest, so we want to talk about that a bit more too.
That's right. So yeah, we'll get into a little bit of, because we're not sure who's going to be watching this for what reasons later on. So we're going to talk a little bit about what is Hacktoberfest. And we'll tell you a little bit about Nylas, just in case you're someone finding us later on after the live stream on YouTube, looking at information on Hacktoberfest. And we'll get into where's the front door for this whole thing if you want to get involved with what we're doing on GitHub during the month of October.
Yeah. So from a high level, Hacktoberfest is a month-long event. So it starts at the beginning of October, but registration is starting up now. And I'll show you the site in a second where you can go and register. And it's for both maintainers and contributors. So there's kind of steps that you need to do to register and participate. And really to complete Hacktoberfest, so it's a month-long event, what you would need to do as a contributor is complete 4 contributions to any code space. And we'll talk more about Nylas in terms of how you can contribute to Nylas, but you need to create at least 4 different code changes and have them approved before the end of Hacktoberfest. So that should be by October 31st.
Cool. Sounds simple enough, right? So the idea is you're getting in there, finding some repos on GitHub, making some changes and getting pull requests accepted. Of course, there's going to be some different details and stuff that we'll share with you along the way, but that's the overall sort of highlights. So Ram, did you want to show us a little bit of just like the Hacktober site before we kind of jump into a little bit of how Nylas is participating?
Yeah, let's do that. So we're going to head over to Hactoberfest.com. Let me just share my screen. And I'm just going to put this over here. Cool. I'm just going to do this for now. So we're going to go to Hactoberfest.com. And you can kind of jump in here and register by clicking on that beautiful button. Registration is now open. And once you do that, it will show your progress to date. So it will show how many code contributions you've made so far. And this is kind of the place, if you want to learn more, you can click on participation, and you can see any upcoming events that are happening. So participation will walk you through all the different things that are needed as a contributor. There's also some beginner-friendly resources as well. So definitely take a look as a contributor what is required to complete Hacktoberfest, and there isn't too much. And as well, Nylas is also here to help if you have any questions along the journey or while you're working on Hacktoberfest. So now that we talked about Hacktoberfest, let's kind of talk about Nylas for a bit. So I'm just going to jump over to the Nylas website. So I'm going to go to nylas.com. And I want to just kind of go through what Nylas is and how you can build with Nylas. So the way I like to think about building with Nylas is it essentially connects to the user or any user's communication layer. And another way to simplify that is almost everyone on the internet has email or a version of a calendar. And what Nylas allows you to do is it allows you to connect to their email, their calendar, and their contacts. So that's your communication data. And from there, you can actually build very rich features or very in-depth features in terms of what you can do with their communication data. For example, you can access their availability in their calendar if you want to book a meeting with them. Or you could also read their last 3 emails or read their emails and create contacts for them. So Nylas allows you to integrate with the communication layer of any user on any platform. And by platform, I mean if a user's on Microsoft, on Google Mail or Google Gmail, you're able to integrate with all those different platforms seamlessly using Nylas.
Yeah, we actually I think over the last couple of weeks, we were showing off an example of building a CRM, right? A customer relationship management software using Nylas. And, really neat because like you can start out with like the contacts features where that's like, kind of building up that sort of list of customers that you're communicating with and building up some smarts across an entire organization, as opposed to having each of those conversations, siloed one-on-one in email threads with people. And you can go on from there to, make it possible for people to book meetings very simply using Nylas, regardless of what the underlying communication service provider is, whether it's Gmail, Google Calendar, various flavors of Microsoft, and so on and so forth. And then lastly, we showed off the ability, while building your CRM to have some nice email features, including mail merge, but also just the ability to reach out to your customers in a way that's still visible to your stakeholders inside of, your organization. So, and that's just in CRM alone. So there's lots of really cool stuff that you can build. And, what I think we want to focus on during Hactoberfest is starting with those building blocks of capabilities and showing developers through, making samples, like how we can do certain common maneuvers in different language stacks.
Yeah, so with Hacktoberfest, what we would love to see is just examples of building with Nylas and accessing the communication layer of a user. So a good example of that I've talked about before is, hey, can I grab the last 3 emails of a user and be able to create contacts from that? So let's kind of look at how we can kind of participate in Hacktoberfest and as well create code samples for Nylas. So here we're going to go to the actual code samples repository, but I also want to show you how you can find other repositories that are looking for contributions for Hacktoberfest. I'm just going to search for Hacktoberfest. And we're just going to go to topics. So the topic we're looking for is Hacktoberfest, which is at the top. And from here, you can actually see that we have over 90,000 repositories open and accepting contributions for Hacktoberfest. So you can go through and take a look at which one you'd like to contribute to. And for Nylas, you can go ahead and search for Nylas. And you will see that we have our Hacktoberfest repository. And inside here, we have all the different details about, okay, how can you contribute, where are places you can go and learn, and all the different guidelines we have for working on an actual issue and building something with Nylas. So feel free to go through this and take a look at this in your own time. But we're here to help. So we would love to kind of work with you on any issues that you have or any ideas you have for building with Nylas. So if you take a look at the very top, we have some initial set of issues that we've created. And these are examples or samples that we're looking at of how we can do certain things with Nylas. So in this example, we have create contacts from last 3 emails received using Node. So in this issue or this code sample, we're looking for, hey, can someone build out functionality that will take the last 3 emails and create contacts from those 3 emails? So one thing to keep in mind, and this is one thing with any code repository, is before you start working on any code, make sure you're assigned to the actual code. So jump into any issue that you see on GitHub and start a conversation with the maintainer and say, hey, can I work on this issue? Can I get this assigned to myself so I can start working on it and contributing for Hacktoberfest?
Yeah, that's absolutely key, because one of the things we want to make sure is that, if you're building something that, that you're known as the one building it, so that we don't end up kind of with multiple contributions against the same issue. But honestly, there's a lot of space in here to jump in. And, whether it's the issues we already have open, or again, just reaching out to us and letting us know if you have other ideas about cool things that you would want to build and contribute to this library of samples, I think we're totally open to that.
Yeah, and once you've kind of gone through, created the code sample, feel free to kind of start a dialogue with the maintainer if you have any questions about it. And as well, we're more than willing to kind of jump in, share some resources, and kind of help you along the way with building with Nylas. And when you're ready, we're just looking forward to kind of getting a pull request of the changes that you want to make So you can go ahead and create a pull request, and you'll see that we will have a checklist. And I don't think I have one here, but we do have a checklist for a pull request. Let me just pull it up. So we do have a template for pull requests. And a lot of this is just following Hactoberfest itself, where we want to make sure that you follow our contributing guidelines. The code adheres, the PR adheres to our code of conduct, and as well that there's no duplicate PRs open. So we really want to make sure we get only one contribution, or we don't have developers working on the same thing at the same time. And as well, we kind of have more details here where we'd love to see a description of what the code sample is, and as well how we can run the code sample to make sure everything works, and as well for our developers. We want to share these code samples with other developers as well.
Really cool. And I think, we may have just a handful of tips here and there for things maybe to avoid. I think one thing that you and I, Ram, talked about earlier is the importance of always remembering, and this has, nothing specific to Nylas, but always remembering to keep those tokens out of your commits. So if you've got API tokens and secrets and the like, we want to make sure, because you're going to need those to make those calls to the Nylas API, just like you would with any other API. But we want to make sure that those don't accidentally end up in your source code. And we can do that through having a git ignore and making sure that you're using something like a .env file, right, for environment variables or the like.
Yeah. And really just feel free to jump in, ask questions as you're going through. We love to hear ideas that you have, and really love to see contributions from the community in terms of ways to build with Nylas. So take a look at our issues when you get a chance and see if there's something that you want to start working on.
Awesome. Well, I think this is a nice, short and sweet kickoff to Hactoberfest. I'm sure that you and I will have some updates somewhere in the middle and probably at the end as well about how things are going and what folks are building. But feel free to jump in and reach out. We're excited to work with you over the course of October.
Yep. We're happy for Hactoberfest, so pumped to see what everyone makes.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Ram. Thanks for the introduction, and looking forward to working with everybody. Thanks for watching.
See you.